I don't think I really went into Conway's From King to God or From King to a God album. I don't think I went into this really in the most fair way. And I don't really mean in the sense that I went into this with like low expectations or I expected too much. I think I just went into this with really not enough expectations and really didn't really think about what I was about to listen to. I haven't really paid attention to Conway's Twitter, so I don't really know what his albums are about. I just mostly open up the hip hop, the hip hop 2020 Wikipedia page that just tells me when everything's releasing. And I saw on September 11th there was a new Conway record dropping, and I was excited for it. I didn't even really think about the fact that there was already a single for this, Lemon, with freaking Method Man, which I wasn't even a huge fan of, but I enjoyed it, but I wasn't a big fan of it. And I didn't even really think about the fact that this is, technically speaking, the debut studio album from Conway. Like, this is the first full-length album he's made. He's made mixtapes that are relatively long, and he's made a lot of projects that are high quality, but they've all been mixtapes or EPs. This is an actual LP, and it's a new Griselda record, and it's one of the big Griselda projects, if you know what I mean, in the same vein of, like, Pray for Paris. And I really am interested in what Griselda's doing, and it's not because I love everything they do, because I really don't. I don't go into every Griselda project already loving it. I go into them, I usually enjoy what they do because they're seriously a group that really understands the roots of hip-hop, and they clearly do not follow any trends, and they mostly, actually 90% of their albums sound very influenced from 90s style rap, like Wu-Tang Clan and Illmatic and things like that from the 90s. And I didn't go into this really thinking this is a big deal for Griselda Records. And I kind of went into this, I really thought this was going to be another 30-minute EP or mixtape, honestly, because that's what we've seen from Conway this year. We had his Lulu EP, or I guess it might be a mixtape. I don't think it's an LP, with The Alchemist, which I really enjoyed. I think it could have been a little longer, and that's why I think of the three Alchemist projects this year is my least favorite. I think Alfredo and Price of Tea in China, neither of them overstayed their welcome. Lulu just could have been a little longer for me. Could have had like 3 or more tracks. But his other album, No One Mourns for the Wicked, I have yet to hear, but I do want to hear it. But I thought this was going to be another 25, 30-minute project. No, this is a solid 15 minutes. It's got 14 tracks. It's got a lot of features on this, like Lloyd Banks, Havoc, other Griselda members like Westside Gunn and Benny the Butcher. And and Method Man, like I already mentioned. So I went into this with the hope that I'd enjoy it, and I thought I would enjoy it. I just don't think I went into this really expecting... I really didn't go into this expecting top 10 of the year, if you know what I mean, because I just didn't think about it that way, because I just went into this expecting something small, and didn't even realize that this is the debut album. And this is not even the first... He has another album coming this year, which apparently has Eminem on it, so I'm excited for that. But this album opens up with the track From King, which is a really great intro. I really enjoy the beat on this, and I really enjoy the energy and flow. Conway is really, in my opinion, the best rapper in Griselda when it comes to his flow and his sound. He seems to have really developed how he wants to do it, where he doesn't come across as angry, rough, hard. He comes across a little more laid back, but he still has a really nice flow across all the instrumentals he works across, and the production is really solid across this. I'm not sure if this production is Westside or not. I think it might be, but it's really hard to say. Whoever produced this, nice work. It's a great opening track, and I really enjoy it. Then we have the track Fear of God, which has got to be one of my favorites in the entire project. Dej Loaf's vocals, mostly for that, actually, because I really enjoyed Conway's part. The beat is one of my favorites on it, but also Dej Loaf, whom is somebody I haven't really paid enough attention to. This was the girl who did the hook on Detroit vs. Everybody. Like, she's a really talented person, and she does an amazing last minute of the song. It's beautiful and a great track, and I really love it for that. I do have to admit, I wouldn't call this one of the best on the album if it didn't have Dej Loaf on it, but it's a great track nonetheless. Then we have the track Lemon, which to me you'd think would be one of the best off his album. It's the only one I'd heard prior to it. You'd think this would be one of the best, but to me this ended up being the worst track on the entire thing, and it's not because it's really that bad. It's just because it's really not as good as it can be. It's really lacking, honestly, to me. I like the beat, I like the hook, but to me it just sounds like another Griselda produced song. Oh, Method Man's on it. That really doesn't add much to it because Method Man doesn't really do anything on it. He's just kind of there. I enjoy it, because I like Conway and I like Griselda production and I like Method Man. I just don't think this was didn't really go anywhere for me. And I'm really surprised this was released as a single. Commercially, it is a big deal of a song, but other songs on this, like Freddie Gibbs, I forgot to mention he's on this too. Like, that should have been released as a single. Come on, it's Freddie Gibbs. He's a huge artist right now. I mean, he's not huge, but he's very respected. That's what Freddie's, very respected. And then we have the track Doe and Damini, which has a really nice Griselda-style beat. It didn't really strike me as much at the beginning, but I really enjoyed it once the beat switches. It has a really nice second beat to me, and I really love the way it kind of all builds up together. It's not one of the best on the album, but I think it works for what it's trying to go for. The lyrics are great as always. The vocalization and the flows are really great across it. It's a good track. Then we have the track Juvenile Hell, which is easily one of the best songs I've heard this month at least. This is a freaking beast of a track. This is so many great... I know this has Havoc and Lloyd Banks, which are both really cool features in my opinion. This is a really energetic and fun track. The beat works really well with the flows. Every rapper gives it their all. It's a really fun, really energetic, entertaining track. And overall, I just found this incredibly fun and catchy and just well done. It shows that Conway, without question, respects the forms of hip-hop, which he blatantly states on the album many times that he's going to be the next big thing. And I think that's funny because I do think he's going somewhere. Because he hasn't really had the opportunity yet to go mainstream or huge. But it's funny that he does that because I'm like, I agree. I think this man really respects his roots. And on the track, Words from Shay just tells everyone Conway's amazing. That's really all it is. And that this happens two more times across the album. And I like it as a skit section. And I guess if you do really think about it, the point of this album is that he's an amazing artist. But it doesn't really strike as necessary to what it needs to do. I don't really know why you have to intervene in the middle and tell everyone that you're the next big thing, because we're all kind of thinking that. If you enjoy Conway, you're most likely thinking that. So I don't know why he has to come into the album every once in a while. It's not bad. It doesn't ruin the project for me. It's just interesting that he feels the need to do that. Then we have the track Front Lines, which I was really entertained to find. It felt like it didn't... I really love the piano beat. I'll first say that. This is mostly boom bap production, mostly. And I really love this solid piano-style beat. I think it works really well with what he's going for. Obviously, he's going to talk about racism and whatnot because it's a 2020 hip-hop album. And I really love the way he does it. I think he really actually states what he wants to say very well. I was also really struck by this track because I realized it didn't seem to really overtly take itself too seriously. And I enjoy that because I don't enjoy it when rappers take themselves so seriously. I obviously enjoy rappers and they take themselves seriously when they have the right to take themselves seriously, but having a track here and there where it doesn't seem to want to try and be the best, I like that, and I think it works really well for what the album goes for. Then we have the track Anza, which is a little more of an emotional track. Armani provides a fantastic hook with a lot of energy to it. I do have to say though, I listened to this album last night and I was a little tired when I heard this song, so I do think I need to listen to it a couple more times to really appreciate it. But from my notes and what I remember and listening to it again, I do enjoy it. It's just a song I didn't process 100% best the first listen. Then we have the track See Everything But Jesus, which is a track this is probably the most anticipated was for any track on this album. Why? Well, I don't know. It says featuring Freddie Gibbs on it. This is a great track. I think Freddie Gibbs has become one of my favorite feature artists. It's not only one of my favorite rappers out there because, I mean, it's the man who made Pinata and Bandana and Alfredo. Like, this man's a freaking legend in the works. And this track, he shows that very well. The beat has a lot of energy to it. I really like the catchy hook. I really like how this didn't just come across as another kind of Lemon, where it was just kind of, we'll make a rough gangster rap style track that sounds like something the Wu-Tang Clan would have made back in '93, except for the problem is that that's all we do, and we actually have really no theme connecting it. This actually seems to want to be more than that, and I like that. It has a really nice energy to it. Freddie Gibbs gives a great guest verse. It's what I wanted to hear from this track. It doesn't go above and beyond, but I enjoy it for what it was sounding like it was going to be. Then we have another Words from Shay, which I still don't see the purpose from these being on the album. They're not bad, like I said, but it's not really reinforcing a point that no one was thinking. And also on top of that, like, I mean, it doesn't really come across as that necessary. It doesn't ruin the album for me, but all these skits, I like the idea of throwing skits here and there. I would like that. I think you could just throw Conway interviews out there to prove he's amazing, not just tell you he's amazing. Like, have interviews of him talking about his art of hip-hop and saying, see, look how smart he is. Not just saying, he's smart. Because I want to be proven that Conway's a genius. I can hear his music and I can say it's a genius, but I want to hear this man talk about other hip-hop artists. I can do that myself, but on this album, for the sake of it, Words of Shay isn't necessary. It could be better. Throwing interviews of Conway, have Conway making speeches here and there. Do what, I mean, I guess this kind of is that, but do what Big Sean did, where you just throw random people on the album and they just tell stories. Like, I mean, obviously, I know Detroit 2 has the idea of these stories being about Detroit, but that is the general idea, right? He is just kind of throwing stories on it. They're about Detroit. There's a center theme about this, but then just make it people telling stories about upcoming rappers or stories about Conway. You could do that. Have other people, like, have West Side Gun have a part where he's, like, talking about meeting Conway, or having Benny say something. I don't know. It just is better than Words from Shay, which just kind of interrupts the album for a couple seconds to really do nothing. But moving on from that, we have the track Spurs 3, which is a track that obviously is the most Griselda song on this because it has West Side Gun and Benny the Butcher, and they all do great on this. I was really surprised when West Side Gun came in because I really feel like he fits this instrument like a glove, because this feels like Supreme Bilental production. Like, this sounds very much like that album. I really love that album. And I think it's a little more of a haunting, more horrorcore style track, which Benny already works over great, and Conway already works over great. They're three rappers that seem to really, really work together well. And obviously they do. They have the WWCD, and they also had, I didn't even realize that said CD in it. I was going to say WWCD Griselda album, and I just thought, oh, I already said CD, so I don't need to say anything else. But anyway, it's just three rappers who really fit well over this beat. They obviously have a lot of chemistry back and forth. I would like to hear another Griselda album. I don't know when we'll hear it, but man, I really like the chemistry these three have, and this is a great track overall. Then we have Forever Dropping Tears, which is a solid 8-minute track that solidly does not feel like 8 minutes. This goes by pretty quickly, actually, and it has easily my favorite beat across the entire album. It strikes me as the most well-produced and most well-processed beat, and on top of that, it's very atmospheric and emotional. There's stories about this, about past members of your family dying. El Camino, another member of Griselda that I haven't really listened to much of, comes in and he matches it very well with a lot of energy, and he has a really well-constructed verse on top of that. There's a lot of emotion going across the track with them talking about friends dying, family members dying, life in the ghetto. And while it's nothing, I mean, obviously you've heard this before from, I don't know, every rapper ever, but it's overall, I think they delivered it very well, and it creates a nice soft spot for this, generally speaking, tough album. And I really enjoy it for the entire 8 minutes it goes. The final part does end with another Shay praising Conway, but without that, it's still like a 7-minute track, or 6.5-minute track, and I didn't even feel the 6-minute runtime. This was entertaining and just a great track overall. Then we have Jesus Khrysis, which is a very interesting spelling to me with KhrYsis, but whatever. It's the darkest and angriest track, surprisingly, and I think it could have gone a little longer. It lasts around 2 minutes, and it could have gone to 3 or 4 minutes. I really love this beat, and has some of the best energy and anger and aggression on the album. He could have made this go on for another couple minutes, and I would have really enjoyed it, but it ends up being a nice track on the album that ends up being in the upper half for me, but it didn't end up going long enough for me to love it. Then we have the track Nothin Less, great conclusion, nothing that really blew me away, but I enjoy nonetheless. The beat is really nice. It's a little more of a celebratory, more emotional spot to the album, and the sampling is great. The mixing really sounds well and nice, and I really enjoy it as the closing to the album. Like I stated before this video, I didn't really go into this album expecting to really take away much, but I took away one of my favorite albums to drop this year so far. This is one of the most consistent records to drop. Besides the Words from Shay skits and maybe Lemon, I really didn't find many flaws with many tracks on this. If you heard me in this review, I barely ever bagged down on these tracks for doing anything wrong, because 90% of the time Conway just proves on this album that he knows what he's doing and that he should be respected for knowing what he's doing on every track and building themes up incredibly well and incredibly concise. The general just production sounds great from every angle of the album, and Conway's voice, it made this album kind of staples him as possibly my favorite member of Griselda. And I would say he's better than Westside, because Westside to me doesn't always seem to want to fit the instrumental. And I love his AZ influences, obviously, but he does not flow half as well as AZ sometimes. But I do love Westside Gun, I'm just saying he doesn't always fit it as well. This is just a great track, and there's not a great track. This is a great album. It's one of my favorite albums to drop this year, possibly even top 5. Like, this is actually better than things like King's Disease and Detroit 2. This is more concise than those. And I loved Detroit 2 and King's Disease. Those are some of my favorite albums of the year. But this just happens to feel more memorable and more concise and more instative than those albums. I'm very excited to hear what else Griselda drops this year. Whenever that Westside Gun, Who Made the Sunshine drops, I want to hear that. I really want to hear that. For some reason, it didn't drop when he said it would drop. I was not going to review it anyway when it dropped. That was a horrible week for me. I couldn't review on that week. But overall, this is one of my favorite albums to drop this year. I didn't expect it to be, but I generally loved this album. It's not perfect. It's not amazing. But I think for what it was going for, it's the best it possibly could have been. And for a Westside Gun debut album, I freaking love this, honestly. It's, generally speaking, I think I actually like this on the level, I don't know if it's as good, but on the level of things like No Pressure and RTJ4, which are two of my favorite albums that dropped this year. Overall, how am I feeling on the rating for this? I am feeling, well, what do you expect? I'm feeling a solid A-, which is what I've been giving out a lot lately. Turns out albums have been really good lately. There have been a lot of really great albums that dropped in September and October. I mean, Amine's Limbo. I didn't really care for Versace tapes, so skip that one. The King's Disease by Nas, which was an album I was really excited for, and I loved it, honestly. Detroit 2, which is seriously that Wolves track, and Deep Reverence. I keep listening to those songs, they're amazing. And now, From King to a God. So 2020 is turning out, this time of the year is turning out great. I will be reviewing, I'm sorry this review came a couple days late. I already dropped my 6ix9ine review, so I kind of wanted that to be out for a couple days. And I was planning on reviewing this a couple days ago, but I just ended up being busy. But next album I will be reviewing, I won't be reviewing another album soon, but I will be reacting. If it ends up being short enough, I'll react to I'll make a video about Joyner Lucas's Evolution on Friday. Whether if it is a reaction or if it is a EP and it only has like 5 songs, I will do a reaction. If it ends up being more, actually I might react to it no matter what, because I'm just generally excited to hear new Joyner. Even though I hated ADHD, he seems to actually have criticized ADHD in the production, in the release for this, so he clearly knows it's not good. Maybe this will be his like Kamikaze, I don't know, but I don't think he needs a Kamikaze, because I mean, it was Eminem doing that one. But I don't want to make this video too long, so see you guys next time. Evolution review will probably be next, unless singles drop this week, which I'll probably do a reaction or so for those. Other than that, though, there's not much coming out in the next couple weeks. We don't know what'll come out, but from schedules, it doesn't look like much we'll be reviewing in the next few weeks. See you guys next time. Bye.